And next we have A Game of Villains, World of Karik, book number 1, Dystopian LitRPG, written by Anton Emelianov and Sergei Sabanov. This is 653 pages, $3.99. It is available on Kindle Limited, and here's the author's description. They lied. They lie. They will lie. This world is built on deception. Our hero entered the store that fateful evening and became involved in a life or death game arranged by a mysterious creature. He survived, but instead of being on Earth, he now appeared to be in a different world, with other people who had passed a similarly deadly test. Some made it through by using force, some by using their cunning. Everyone has their own story, but they all have one thing in common. There are no good people among them. There are no good people among them. The world of Karik turned out to be akin to a game. In it, one can level up, grow stronger, and even resurrect in case of failure. But if one makes a mistake of believing the wrong person, they will die for good. Will the magic that he needs to conceal, or maybe his patron, who seems incapable of telling the truth, help him? Who can say? Okay. It took me a little while as I was reading this story to realize I've read this story before. I went through the beginning. I was like, oh, this is really interesting. But this is, I feel like I've read this premise before. And as I keep reading, I was like, and I keep hitting points like, oh no, this is definitely something I've read before. And it turns out it is. This book was originally published in December 2017, and the name World of Karik, the First Player, a LitRPG series by the same authors. And you can actually see the original hardcover for this book and the second book in the series on the author's page on Amazon, Amazon's author page. And if you look on there, the first book, you can actually see our original review. And I reviewed it then, and I did enjoyed it. But the one thing that stopped it from getting a good review for me was the fact that there were many, many translation issues with that first version of this. With this re-release, those translation issues are fixed, and I'm bumping the review score essentially from 6.0 to a 7.3 out of 10. And then again, the only reason I got a 6 squared in the first place was because the translation was so challenging to get through that I couldn't recommend it to other people. And if you read those original reviews, a lot of them were the same way, saying I couldn't even get started on the story because of the translation issues. And even though I read the entire thing and I enjoyed it, my brain can tend to ignore that stuff. But I knew there was a certain level of issues that not many other people were. And I absolutely understand why the authors have changed the name of this title and the cover art, so that it's not really as associated with that original story. But it's the same story, and you just need to know that. The original review for the story, I'll read it off to you. The novel is best described as an apocalypse survival / life LitRPG. So similar stories would be the Arcane Survivalist, Life in the North, Game of the Dead, or Survival World. People are being taken from Earth by powerful beings and dropped into another planet. The planet works with RPG game rules. Each person is given one skill or ability to help them survive, and a tombstone that they can resurrect if they die. If the tombstone is destroyed, they die permanently. The main character convinces the good god of chaos to give him a mastery of magic, and thus they have an overpowered ability among all the other players in the world. While there's a way to exit, it's so difficult, no one has yet succeeded. The story is basically a slice of life power-up story. There's no huge plot. It's more about the main character learning about the rules of the world, leveling up, some betrayals that force him to power up more, and then repeating all that. There's enough variety of monsters to fight, plot twists and betrayals, and ways to power up that the story is interesting even with it being over 600 pages. The biggest drawback to the story are the translation issues, and the sheer length of the story might make it some parts feel like filler. Those two things don't ruin the story for me, but for other people it will. And again, just to be clear, the translation issue portion of the original review does not apply, but it was a part of the original review. And again, the new review score, because the translation has been improved so much, because it's actually readable now, gets a 7.3 out of 10, because I had a good time with it. The first time, I thought it was really smart. And this is kind of a darker story where there are not really any clear heroes. It's more of a villain on villain kind of story. I enjoyed it. That's again a score of 7.3 out of 10. I feel like the author just kind of got a better translation team and is re-releasing books 1 and 2 in this long, 9-book series. So hopefully book 2 will be as entertaining as book 1 was. That's The Game of Villains, World of Karik, book number 1, Dystopian LitRPG series with a score of 7.3 out of 10.